I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. I'm Sandra Bravo in Gold Coast of Australia. We are here thanks to Success Resources and Tony Robbins. And it might be morning for you in Europe. So let me know your name on the chat. Are you watching or you catching the recording afterwards? Because you may be in many of our different channels that we're broadcasting these to. And if you haven't been tuning in every day to, pile up little breakthroughs every day that turn out to be the big shift, the big breakthrough, make sure you scroll down wherever you're watching this today, whether it's on social media channels or on YouTube, Success Resources or mine. Scroll down to catch the previous days, because that's how you build momentum, by attaching one on top of the other and creating that power of momentum. Today we're going to talk about the ultimate success formula. I am passionate about all of the different topics that Tony Robbins teaches, and that's why I'm here. He always says, learn and take notes as if you were going to teach it to someone else, not just for you to learn. And the truth is that whether you teach it to someone else or you don't, just the fact that you're taking notes with that intention allows you to ingrain that knowledge and experience into your cellular system at a much deeper level. So before we talk about the ultimate success formula, one of my many different favorite topics from Tony Robbins, we first need to talk about the three beliefs that you must have for lasting change. And if you don't have your notebook and your pen, now is the time to get it. Go. Let's do this. Get your notebook, get your pen. Let's take some notes. I got some cards that I wrote, because 3 beliefs for lasting change. And I'm going to put them right there so you can see them. Number 1, I must change now. If I don't believe that I have to make a change, why would I want to make it, right? But only when pain has become so bad is when we finally decide to make a change. How many times you've known that there's something that you need to do, whether it's in your business or in your personal life? How many times you've known that there's something that you should stop doing, that you need to stop doing, and you ignore it, you procrastinate and you leave it, and you try to avoid it for as long as you can until it hits you on the face and it finally becomes unbearable, becomes so painful that you just go, okay, not one more single day, not a single moment, not a single minute, no more. I am not taking it anymore, and I must change. So when you believe that the situation, this must change now. When you believe that the situation must change, that's when you start to create leverage. Number 2, when you believe that you must change this, whatever this might be for you, now you're adding to the leverage. And number 3, you must believe that you can change it. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter what it is, anything and everything in your life, personal or business, health, relationships, whatever it is, you can change it, because you're the only one who can. The problem is, many times we spend so much time trying to change somebody else or trying to change a situation that we have no control over. You and yourself only is the only person that you have control over. You're the only person that you can change. And when you decide that you must change, that's when you can finally take action. So those first are the beliefs, okay? The beliefs. What do you need to believe in order to create lasting change? You can take a photo if you want, or if you're a fast writer, you can write it down. Number 1, this must change now. Number 2, I must change this now. Number 3, the belief that I can change it. Now, once you've nailed the beliefs, because if you are hesitant, if you have doubts, if you're not sure that you can change it, nobody is going to make you do it. In fact, you know what? If I'm a master practitioner of NLP, right? Neuro-linguistic programming. And we interview a client or a prospect first before we decide to take them on board. Why do we do that? Because if that person is not ready to make a change, there's nothing we can do as coaches or mentors or NLP practitioners or whatever it is that you are. So 60 to 70% of success in helping someone change is simply the fact that the person coming to you had it. He or she had enough and they're ready and committed to make a change. Imagine, it's like if you are, I remember when I used to live in beautiful Mallorca in Spain, one of the islands, and it was summer, and I was 21 and 22, right? So I had the time of my life. But I'm in Mallorca, and on Sundays we used to love going up to these beautiful beaches and climbing up the cliffs and then jumping off the cliff right in the middle of the ocean and just landing. It was just so magical. But let me tell you, if there was someone who didn't want to do it, one of my friends that were visiting the island or whatever, they're too scared, right? There is no way on earth I was going to be able to drag them all the way up the hill to get to the top of the cliff and make them jump off. No chance. So the only way that we could help someone who, is fearful, but they want to do it, is when they decide they want to do it. I mean, I remember I had some friends from Spain and some from Scotland. And there was this beautiful guy that was my friend, and he was from Scotland, and I really liked the guy, right? And he was fearless, of course. So he would just go up the cliff jump, and he would be like, "Come on!" And so I want to do it so bad because I want to do it with him, and he's holding my hand to do it, and at the same time, I am petrified, and I know that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't do it. So just to be with him, just to have that experience of jumping off the cliff with him holding his hand was enough of leverage, enough motivation for me to want to do it. So I said yes. So, off we go, walking up the cliff, get to the top. And now as I look back, all I can see is rocks, the ocean. And it's like, oh my God, I am petrified. I'm scared. If I was alone, there's no way I would have done it. But I want to do it so bad. And he's very encouraging and supportive and everything else, right? So, but because I wanted to do it, he managed to help me just take that leap of faith to jump off. I walked myself to the top of the cliff. And then when it's about time to jump, I'm so scared. But because I want to do it, that's already 60% of the success in getting there. Then, once he holds my hand and he jumps, I know I have to jump off, because if I don't, one of us or both are going to get really hurt, because either he's going to end up landing on the rock, or I'm going to end up flying off the wrong way, or something really bad is going to happen. So I know that when he's holding my hand and we're counting to 3, I just have to jump off, right? But again, if I wasn't decided that I wanted to do it, there's no way he could have dragged me all the way up to the cliff and then make me jump. You see what I mean? I made the decision I wanted to do it, even though I was petrified, but I walked myself up to the top of the cliff, and then I held his hand, and then when he counted 3, I just went. So it's the same when you're a coach or a mentor, or in my case, a neurolinguistic programming consultant or coach. We interview the prospect or the client to find out how much leverage we have. How bad do they really want to change the thing, the situation that they say they want to change, the limiting belief or whatever it might be, the habit or whatever it is that they're doing. And if I find that they're not really fully committed and ready to make the change, I don't take them on as clients. If they're the ones that go, well, I've tried this, and this person couldn't help me, and this person couldn't help me, and this person couldn't help me, then I go, well, I'm just going to be one more person who can't help you. And you know why? Because you're the only one who can help yourself. And you need to realize that. I can't. People think that I can do NLP to people or on people. And it's like, no, you do it yourself. We guide you through the shift, through the process, right? So when someone says, you know what, I had it. I've tried everything and I can't change that. So when I go, that's good. I think they've tried so much that they had it. They're really ready to change. Let's do this. Because I know as a consultant or a coach, I already have 60% of the success there. for the fact that I have enough leverage because they are ready to make a change. Now, if they, as I said, if they're just blaming everybody else, is the first thing I do with them. My intention when I do a strategy session, so before I decide to take them on board, right? My intention is to get them to go to being accountable, because as a coach or a mentor or consultant, there's a fine line in the middle, and on this side of the line is my responsibility, but on this side of the line is their responsibility, and there's only so much I can do. I can guide them, I can mentor them, I can help. I cannot do it for you. So if you're the type of person that, will go, "Oh, well, she couldn't help me, he didn't help me, didn't work, blah, blah, blah," they just blaming everyone else and they live in the victim mentality, I don't want to work with them at all, because I can't change them. They need to realize that they're the only ones that have control, that they're the only ones that have the power to change themselves. When they do that, no problem. I can hold their hand and help them make that shift, that radical change, that big breakthrough, right? But when I see them in the victim mentality, the first thing I do is have that conversation. Well, listen, I can't do it for you. My responsibilities, my help to you ends here, and I can't cross the line. After that, it's up to you to take accountability, to be responsible, to take action, to implement, to follow through. If I can get them to move to that place where they're accountable, no problem. I'll be happy to take them as a client. But if in that strategy session, in that initial conversation, I can't get them to shift from the victim mentality to being in control, to being accountable, then I say, "You know what? I'm sorry, but I can't help you. I'm more than happy to refer you to someone else if you wish, but I can't work with you." And I tell them why. Because otherwise, it's like, banging your head against the wall for no reason. If they're not ready to make the shift, if they're not ready to take accountability, if they're not ready to realize they're the ones in control, then there's nothing I can do. That would be like saying to my friend, "No, I don't want to go. I'm too scared. I can't do it." And he's still trying to drag me, right, up the hill to get to the top of the cliff. I'm not going to jump off because I don't want to do it. It doesn't matter how hard he works to get me to the top. I haven't made the decision in my head that I want to do it because I'm scared. See what I mean? But because I wanted to do it, even though I'm scared, then he can help me feel safe and take that leap of faith to jump off the cliff. So I don't bother trying to drag anyone off the cliff because I know there's nothing I can do to help them. And I think that's a mistake that many coaches or mentors or consultants do, that they think they can help everyone. And the truth is, well, no. If the person hasn't made the decision, if the person doesn't have the belief that it must change and that they can change, there's nothing you can do. All right? So once you have the belief that this must change now, that you must change this situation now, and that you can change it, then it comes the 3 steps to lasting change. 3 steps to lasting change. Number 1 is leverage. So again, leverage has nothing to do with ability. Leverage has to do with motivation. If the pain is not bad enough, if it's not unbearable, you won't have a reason to change. So you need to find enough leverage. You need to realize that for you not to do anything, for you not to change, is going to become so unbearably painful that if you don't do anything about it, it's just going to drive you, right? So you need to change. And that's how you create leverage. Just realize that leverage has nothing to do with your ability. It has to do with your motivation. How bad do you want it? Are you really committed? Have you really made the decision for that change? Because if so, then you've got enough leverage. Again, how many times you've known that there's something you need to stop doing and you procrastinate for years because it hasn't become painful enough? How many times there's something you must do, you have to start doing, and again you procrastinate? How many times you or someone that has stayed in a relationship way longer than they should have? How many times you or someone have stayed in a job that they hated, that they were miserable, unfulfilled, and they stayed there way longer than they needed to? a relationship. I know I can talk from experience. Like, how many times do you know someone who is with in a relationship with someone who has an addiction, for example, or someone who is not nice to them, and everyone around them can see it, and they still stay because of the fear. Sometimes it's just safer to stay in the thing that they know, that they're familiar with, than going through the fear of the uncertainty of what it would be like, even if it's going to be much better on the other side. That's insanity of human beings, right? That many times they stay in a situation where it's just horrible, and they know it's so obvious for everyone else outside, because you're outside the jar, you can read the label, but when you're inside the jar, you can't read the label from inside the jar. So you don't see it. Everyone else outside sees that. You would be much better off out of that situation, out of that job, out of that relationship, right? Out of those bad habits or addictions or whatever it might be, but you don't see it. And so you stay there way longer. When you finally come out, it's like, oh my God, I should have done it years ago, right? But again, it's not painful enough for you to have that leverage to want to make a change. So you need to find a way to create enough pain for you to have that leverage to go, you know what, that's it. Not another day, not another minute. I must change. Tony Robbins always tells the story at B.Butler, where he was just so miserable. He was angry with life. He was depressed. He felt like a failure. He was overweight, and he was broke, and all of these things. And one day, finally, he had enough. It was so painful. It was so unbearable. He had no money to eat, no money to pay his bills. He was didn't have anyone around, couldn't attract a relationship or anything because he's overweight, miserable, angry with life, etc. And then he takes himself to this run and pushes himself as far as he can until he ends on the beach, completely puffed out on the floor, and he just goes, that's it. Not another day, not another minute. I must change now, because it was painful enough. And he finally talked himself through all of his limiting beliefs that were hindering him getting on the way, and when the truth is, and he came up with new truths that were empowering. So once you have the leverage, step number 2, to create that lasting change. So the first 3 we discussed were the beliefs that you must have for lasting change. These second 3 are the steps that you must take for lasting change. Step number 2 is break the pattern, interrupt the pattern. If you find that every time you feel lonely or sad, you go to eat, you need to, at the moment that you become aware, you need to interrupt that habit, that pattern, and go, okay, what can I do instead of going to the kitchen to eat? Let me go for a run, or let me jump around, or let me do some mirror work, or, just find a way to love myself, or whatever it is. If you find that you are in pain after you finally ended that relationship, and every time you have a moment of weakness, you want to call them, or you go see them and get back into it, and you're like in and out, but not fully out. Again, what can you do to disturb that pattern, to interrupt it, to cut it off? Okay, if you're feeling weak, okay, I know, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to listen to my priming from Tony Robbins. I'm going to read my book. I'm going to, say I love you with 10 breaths and 100 times in front of the mirror. I love myself, or whatever it might be, to interrupt the pattern. Now, once you interrupt that pattern, you break that pattern. Step number 3 is to replace it with a new empowering pattern, to create a new empowering pattern. So if you just broke the pattern of smoking, you must replace it with something else. If you just broke the pattern of, eating junk, you must replace it with something else. Maybe it's a green drink, a celery juice, or a wheatgrass drink. I know if I'm craving sugars, and I know that if I had them, I'm gonna have a crash later after I come down from the sugar, and I'm gonna feel, lethargic and tired and cranky and not being able to focus properly. Then I'll just go and have warm water with a spoon of wheatgrass. It interrupts the pattern of going for the sugar or the junk. It fills me up. It's healthy for me. So then I'm no longer craving it. And after that, I'm feeling energetic and totally focused. And right. So you must be very aware of what is that pattern that you need to break, and what do you replace it with. You can't just break or get rid of it and leave the gap, the void, because inevitably it will come back. So once you get rid of that bad habit or that pattern that you're interrupting, that way you must replace it with creating a new empowering, pattern or habit or whatever it is, and you must reinforce it over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. Because otherwise, the default of your subconscious is going to be to take you back to that thing that you were doing. So, and once you have all of that, what are the steps for the ultimate success formula? Ultimate success formula. Number one, write it down. I'm happy to show it here. You can do a screenshot if you want. Number one is know your outcome. Know your outcome, what it is that you want. Clarity is power. If you don't know what you want, how are you ever gonna get what you want, right? If you're not clear, the more detail, the more clear in what it is that you want for your business, for your finances, for your relationships, for your health, what is it exactly that you want? The more clear and detailed, the more power you have in creating it. So, but if you don't even take the time to set up the intention to become clear on what it is that you want, then there's no way you're gonna get what you want, right? Number two, know your reasons why. Why do you want it? The how comes second, the why comes first. The why is more important than the how, because when it gets tough, when it gets difficult, when you feel like giving up, it is your strong why that's going to get you through it. You know how many times 10 years ago when I was still in a full-time job, right? How many times I kind of wish that I could just quit my full-time job and start my own business, do my own thing, and have that flexibility and freedom of doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, with whoever I wanted, or take holidays whenever I wanted, or work from home, or be there for my kids, or whatever. Before I had babies, I thought about it many times. I wanted it, but guess what? I had no leverage. It wasn't painful enough. It was okay. It was fun. In fact, I enjoyed my job, even though I wanted to have the freedom, the flexibility, and stuff. I enjoyed my job. I had a great social life. I had fun with my staff. I made good money. I got to travel. So it wasn't that bad for me to have enough leverage to want to make a change, right? But what happened once my babies were born, then it was painful enough, because having off to childcare and leave them there crying and pulling off my lap saying, "Mommy, don't leave me," and having to wipe my tears off to go to work was painful enough. And the how didn't matter. I just knew what I wanted and why I wanted it. So you must be very clear what you want. What is it that you want, and why do you want it? Then how will figure out its way. That's up to the universe to find the how. In fact, many times when you come up with a plan of the how, it doesn't even turn out to be the way you planned it. So there's no point, because many times you can't even contemplate the possibilities of the how in your mind, because that's up to the universe. So as long as you're very clear on what it is that you want, because clarity is power, and why you want it, your why, that's strong enough for the how to appear itself. And of course, number three is to take massive action. Take massive action. And the easiest and fastest way that I know to take massive action on anything you want to be successful at is to model someone who has already accomplished what you want. That's a shortcut. Why go and try and figure out the way yourself? Why go and create the path up the mountain when someone already walked that path, right? Why go through the trial and error and all the pain and suffering when someone has already accomplished the very thing that you want the most? Again, whether it's in your business, your relationships, your health, your finances, someone already has the thing, the level that you want to get to. So get yourself a role model, get a mentor, mimic what they do, because that's going to fasten your results. That's going to shorten the route for you to get there, and to make it just easier and less painful. So that's just a little taste, my friend. I'm so passionate about these topics that I could just keep talking forever. But I love to hear from you, sharing your breakthroughs, your insights, your lessons, your questions, contributions, observations on the chat, so that we can get to know you. And let me tell you something. If you have ever wanted to learn from Tony Robbins directly, the man, the legend himself, now is your opportunity. And opportunities like this only present once in a lifetime. We are around the corner from UPW Virtual. You're running out of time. If you're not walking, you must run because it's just around the corner on the 22nd, which is next week, 22nd of October. UPW Virtual. If you don't have your ticket yet, I strongly encourage you because otherwise, you could regret this forever, okay? Bringthefreedom.com, bringthefreedom.com. Get your ticket now. Be decisive. Create enough leverage as to why you must make it changes. No one else better in the world than Tony Robbins to help you create that lasting change, to help you break through to the next level, whatever that level might look for you. So go get your ticket, bringthefreedom.com. I'm going to be there. I'm excited to see you. And on behalf of Success Resources, Tony Robbins, and myself, Sandra Bravo, signing off from Gold. I will see you tomorrow, same place, same time. And until then, live with passion. See you tomorrow.